Okay, today I have a couple of these realistic speakers. There are something 8. No, they're not. They're an over 10. And what is that thing? Is that a fuse or something? No, I don't know what that is. Or is it a level control? Is it a nothing at all? Oh, there's an RCA connector in there. It's just a plug to block that off. I didn't know they had that. And these were, well, they made these Nova series speakers in the late 70s, but I think I looked in the catalogue and this Nova 8 one didn't, Nova 10 didn't come out until the 80s. So it's a catalogue 4028, and looks like it's input program max 50 watts, quality control, this is serial number 34. But the only reason I was really interested in these, it looks like the wrens have been on it. Had a crap on it since I left it outside. The only reason I was really interested in these is because they got a white woofer in them. And I always wanted a Tandy speaker with a white woofer in it. So this is only a little 2-way and a little 8-inch. I would have liked one of the 3-way systems, but these were going for not too much on eBay and they were local. So I thought I'd throw a bid on them and I won. And they got some sort of passive, looks like it's just a piece of cardboard on a foam surround. At least the foam surround seemed to be good. This doesn't look like it's been near sun or anything. They're quite almost close to mint condition besides a bit of dust. Looks like this is a plastic grill with obviously a nice 70s cloth and a lovely bit of masonite. Top quality stuff we're talking here. That is going to be a pain to clean. In many ways it's a shame they don't look better without the grills, because wouldn't hurt to chuck those away just about. Very sort of 70s look. But yeah, that was just why I was surprised they're still making these. I think it was, you know, maybe even as late as 83 or 85 or something silly. I'll have to look it up again in the catalogue. But supposedly these work, so I haven't tested them or anything yet. I just got them home. But it'd be interesting to have a look. I might even have a look inside and see what's behind these things, especially that, and whether there's a real crossover in there or just a cap on the tweeter is probably all we're going to get. I think it's just veneer. It almost look like plastic veneer, but I don't think it is actual vinyl veneer. Someone has scraped the bottoms a bit, as you'd expect. Is that actual real wood? I think that might be real wood veneer. It's at least a very good imitation of it. That is so good I can't tell. It certainly looks better than vinyl, but it's super thin as you'd expect from a veneer, so it feels hard, so I think it is wood. But don't quote me on that. And it's obviously chipboard underneath that. You can see the end of the chipboard panels. And definitely chipboard there. And we can assume the front will be chipboard as well. Guess we wouldn't have to have a quick look before I even power it up. Probably avoid the warranty. Not sure it's got much of a warranty, but they usually give you a little bit of warranty on these things if they're sold as meant to be working. And there's that beautiful chipboard edge. It is a Matsushita, Japan. EAS 65PH31SZ, 8 ohms. Of course, doesn't give you any power rating. I mean, if it's just talking about, it's kind of like music power. What did they call it? It might have even been music power like that. Used to be PMPO, the peak music power output or whatever, a rating of amps, which was just garbage. You've got like a boombox that runs on D cells, so it can barely develop any current at all. D cells can put out a little bit, but nothing much. So you know the power rating of the actual D cells, and yet it'll claim that it can, you know, put out 200 watts PMPO or something, which is just, you know, rubbish. Basically, it might be 2 watts RMS or something, but they did like to try and sell you rubbish like that back in the day. Mainly because, like with that realistic system I just looked at, which these would probably match with quite nicely, that was a bit earlier, that modulette or whatever, that doesn't even give you a power rating at all anywhere, and I found it in another catalogue as well, and still no power rating because it's so weak. It was probably embarrassing in RMS, but you know, it doesn't hurt to let people know they know what they're getting. Better than lying to them with some absolute rubbish rating that you know, defies all laws of physics. Oh, there we go. So it's actually probably is the same as the woofer. So it's actually got foam in there. So it's not just cardboard. You get added polystyrene as a bonus, but they put the, you know, like the usual suspension system. So they've kind of done the paper cone out of polystyrene. I think that's a solid block of polystyrene. Oh, we've actually got a proper crossover in here. Quite an impressive one. Yeah, so this crossover actually has a couple of large inductors in there with real copper wire wound around them. What's it, 0.6 millihenry and 0.8 millihenry. And you can see the back of the speaker terminals there. And there's also a, what is it, 6.8 I think? 6 point something 50 volt bipolar capacitor and a 2 ohm resistor, which is interesting. What wires go where? That looks like the blue and black go to the tweeter. So the black goes to that resistor. It's also got the inductor across the tweeter, has it? That's a bit weird. But normally you just have the cap in series, the resistor possibly to get the impedance sort of up a bit. But it looks like that inductor, if that's the blue, well that's the common side. Or maybe it's because it's through, yeah, the capacitor from the other pin, through the resistor, and then the inductor to ground, basically in parallel with the tweeter it seems. And the other one I assume, yeah, just blocks the woofer. I would think the yellow wire goes to the woofer and there's a black wire back to the ground. So that's your low, or your high frequency blocking inductor. Basically that, you normally just have one there to block high frequencies to the woofer. You've got a capacitor to block low frequencies to the tweeter. I'm disappointed this hasn't got a power rating on it. I mean, surely there's only so many watts that thing can handle before it blows its paper out or the polystyrene disintegrates. So, you know, as a consumer I want to see a power rating on the passive woofer as well. I guess that could be a fun project one day. Put a massive Sony Explode car subwoofer in there in the box or something and crank it up until you blow this one out of the box. I'm sure someone's done something crazy like that before, but I'd have to pick up a single one of these I think that didn't have a matching one before we go that destructive on it. But it could be interesting to see how much you could get this thing to pop out on the base before it destroys itself. And yeah, that's one way of finding out what its wattage rating is, I guess. But yeah, it's an interesting sort of design. I mean, that just, supposedly it is quite similar to having a second woofer in there. And there were quite a few things made with passive woofers over the years. I don't like that this cardboard doesn't really, I don't know, did they put that in later? The screws are trying to peel the cardboard off around the edge of the speaker, which is kind of crazy. I guess when it went in it probably didn't matter, it just flicked it down and it popped back up again, but now it's trying to pop it off the speaker. But I am impressed, these are as good as one that's just been freshly reconed. I mean, there's no sign of any fading, dirt. I mean, there's a little bit of dust on it, but tell me what from the 80s doesn't have a bit of dust on it. But yeah, this is better condition than I was expecting, to be honest. I mean, you can't really tell from eBay photos. So, I mean, I paid $30 for the pair of them, so I'm not going to complain. They, you know, technically they're not really worth much to anyone, other than someone like me that wants them for their retro look sort of value. For that price, being in mint condition is nice. Woofer, 7 ohms. 45 hertz to 3 kilohertz, nominal 15 watts, music 30 watts. That isn't even the 50 watts they say on the back, but anyway, it's made in Japan, so you can't knock that. Reasonable size magnet on it, 0718AS, I don't know what that means. If it means anything, oh no, our phone's fallen off the back. It might just be from me moving it around and stuff. They didn't stick that down too well. We've got, it looks like, is that a staple? No, it's just, it's got some sort of shiny bit of cotton waste in there, I think. So what is actually holding that on? Nothing. Oh yeah, there's something at the top in one corner. So someone didn't do their job back in the day, I'm guessing, and forgot to staple that corner down. Now, how does that go? However you want, I guess. Bit of a weird join mark or something in the paper there, but they probably did make it out of a single piece of paper wrapped around or something. I've never really noticed that. I've always thought the cones were sort of made, don't know, are they normally made in one piece or wrapped around and joined? I think they're normally moulded in one piece. You can mould paper around any sort of shape, I guess. So I don't know what that is. But yeah, this doesn't look like it's seen the light of day ever. Almost like if you'd bought them, left them in their boxes in a cupboard. But it does have scrapes on the bottom, so someone has used them. Must be living in a basement or something, because it's, you know, I guess possible they could have been in some sort of home recording studio, listening room, an office or something in some sort of enclosed building, who knows. But I must say they are like new in that sense. So I'm impressed. I was expecting them to be in the usual sort of tatty state you find things in, a bit faded away and all the rest. Probably some people have been poking at them or something, and I think we've got everything nice and tight, haven't we? Oh well, I guess I need to make a longer speaker wire and hook these things up. Actually, we've got RCA, haven't we? I can hook it up through like a long video cable or something here, because I've got RCA speaker outputs. But yeah, I'm impressed. I didn't know they had a RCA connector. That's so much better than not having one. Manufactured in Japan for Radio Shack, T over C, a division of Tandy Corporation. Nice highs on it too. It's actually quite a good sound speaker. I guess we should try it in stereo. I'll go and get the other one. I must say they certainly deliver better bass than you'd expect for the size of them, so that thing really does make a difference, I think. Sounds like they're both working fine. That one's got the same join in the cone. It's actually like little, looks like they shove little reinforcing bits in there, don't know. Same sort of condition. About the only thing that was annoying about Tandy speakers is they put the tweeters on the same sides. Even their Mark 3s and stuff, they just made one style of box. But I mean, you kind of would like, if you got two stereo ones with the grills off, it would be nice if they made them symmetrical. Which is asking a lot when they just, you know, they just make them all in the same factory. But I've got the Mark 2s, Mark 3s, whatever they are, and yeah, the tweeter and stuff and mid-range is set to one side, and then they've got the two controls for the levels, and they're both on the same sides. And I'm almost tempted to get the box and change them, because they would look awesome if they were properly symmetrical, with one on the left side, one on the right side, sort of thing. But of course, not the end of the world. It just feels like a little bit of a rip-off. I think some of the higher end speakers would actually like move the tweeter to the other side, sort of thing, so that when you had the two of them with the grills off, these aren't really made for having the grills off. They're only horrible brown, mission brown paint on chipboard, so can't expect too much. But I must say they actually sound pretty good for their size. Might have to try them out on some other music and stuff and see what they're like. I guess we could try a bit of rock music or something on it instead of just all this dance stuff that I happen to have CDs for. Probably that wood is a little faded. Maybe they came like that. I wouldn't mind actually maybe stoning them a bit darker. I probably should keep them as original, but I don't think there's a highly collectible or anything. And that's the grill after I cleaned it up a bit. Got rid of the worst of the dust off it. I don't really like the grills much, but they don't look much good without them either. But I did buy them to see some white woofers really, so they almost look better on their side, I think. Does it? I think that realistic badge, does it rotate? It is loose. I noticed when I was cleaning it, some of these you can, yeah, you can, look at that. It's one of those rotatable badges, which I know some speakers had. So yeah, you could sort of go that sort of look and put your realistic badge the other way. Yeah, those grills are very, very dated. Very, 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 very dated. I mean, I don't think there's anything you could do with that. Maybe if you cut all that diamond shaped stuff out of there, that kind of stretched, expanded aluminium look or whatever it's meant to be, or I always think of Tudor windows when I see that from the 1800s or 1700s, or no, Tudor would be like 1500s, wouldn't it? That sort of look in the glass. When they couldn't, I think it was before they could make plate glass, they had to make little tiny bits and stick them together with lead lighting stuff. Yeah, not particularly appealing. I think maybe that horrible brown, mission brown, needs to go. And if only they'd put a bit of the veneer on the inside. I mean, that's another option, I guess, is to get some actual proper veneer, line the inside, line the front. I'm not sure I like wood on the front of it that much either, but you could do something like that. And it's kind of odd they got a white woofer there and that is black. I mean, that could actually do with being white in a way. Guess the other thing to do is wait for a couple more to turn up and turf these passive woofers and put another pair of white ones in. But I don't reckon I'll see these again in a hurry. Certainly not in this condition, so these turned out to be a bit of a bargain really. They actually sound really good, you know, within the limits, but the bass on them is definitely up there with pretty much like a 12-inch system or something. And the tweeters are amazingly good. I don't know how those little paper cone things sound so good actually, but they're like almost like a dome tweeter or something. They're actually really, really good at dispersing the high frequency out there. So it goes to show Matsushita could make some pretty good stuff back in the day, as we all know, with the National Panasonic branded stuff. But yeah, that I think would have put a lot of people off buying these, is just those horrible grills. Even though they did show photos of them without the grills, I certainly wouldn't have touched them if I hadn't seen they had white woofers in there. And yeah, that looks so much better with the dust off it. That one's still dusty, but it looks even more like plastic when you take the dust off. That's the ironic thing. That is such an American 70s plastic looking thing, unfortunately. So definitely looks extremely out of date. Even if you change the grill cloth, it almost wants the cloth. Well, that's the other option. Can I put the cloth on the other side of this? If you've covered this bit up with cloth, I don't think you can really do it, but let's actually hold that chipboard. It's all glued in, I think, so at least they got these little push-in things. The other option, yeah, would be even just like a bit of black cloth there or something. Shame you can't really get, it's so tempting to actually cut that out, but maybe I can get some sort of wood of a similar profile, or any profile, anything but this, and make a little wooden insert grill or something. Or my desire would be more to actually make it not have a grill at all and try and make this look better. Problem is it's got these things which look absolutely horrible. Shame they didn't give us little things like that to block them off, like they did the RCA. So yeah, maybe, but I think that mission brown has to go. I mean, what would they look like? I don't think I've ever seen speakers with a white baffle plate thing in it. Is that what you call it? The front part of the box. Yeah, it's kind of tempting to do something to them, even though it's a shame these are such good condition. I wouldn't, if they were in poorer condition, I wouldn't mind actually messing with them and customizing them a bit, but these are actually probably one of the better examples you ever find of these speakers. Not that I don't think anyone really cares about collecting 80s or 70s Tandy speakers, but I do have it, like I say, I used to have all their catalogues and stuff, so I have a little bit of a soft spot for it, even though it wasn't always, I was more overpriced than not bad, than poor quality equipment. Though some of it wasn't always the best quality. It was average, let's put it that way, but average in those days wasn't too bad, as these prove. And I think most of their speakers were actually quite good, the Tandy ones. I don't think I've ever seen a bad pair, even those little metal aluminium box 2A ones. It were actually sounded really good. But anyway, I think that's all I can really do with that for the moment. But I think they'll make good, they'll be perfect for like listening to turntable or something on. I was going to use the AR7s, AR8s, whatever I got. I think they're only 7s. Because they're actually really good. These possibly, I'd say, would have better bass than those. They probably sound very similar, nice highs, but more bass because they've got the passive woofer there. So they certainly compete with them. A lot bigger boxes though, and that's probably also increases the bass quite a bit because we've got a nice big deep box here. That'd be double the depth of a AR7, I think. Very close and bigger all round. So that always helps with better bass. Found that a good way to clean these speaker grills is just get a cotton bud in some, wet it in some cleaner, and you can just loop it round the inside of these things. Just do one side or go two sides. I mean, the upper parts probably don't really need doing, but you can just sort of go right round inside there. I got most of it off with the paintbrush, but it doesn't get right in the very little pointy bits at the bottom in particular that hold a little bit of dust still, so they probably need a little wipe out with something else. But yeah, that certainly is a quicker way of doing it than any other, I think. And yeah, they're still ugly 70s grills, but at least they're clean ugly 70s grills. And I probably shouldn't really call them ugly because someone out there probably thinks they're the best thing ever, but let me know in the comments if you do, because I'm yet to meet anyone that likes these things, but you never know. Maybe this is so old now, it's becoming cool again, but I don't think that happens. Like, even 70s cars are becoming cool again, but and some 70s stuff, but I don't know that this style of a speaker is ever going to come back. Some things probably should never come back. They should really be burnt, I think. But they're interesting, and they certainly have that sort of Tandy 70s catalogue feel about them. No doubting that. But anyway, thanks for watching.